Welcome back to Nick Lenz's Comic Corner Classic, Last Numb Classics. This is episode number 1744 and Doubleshot number 1638. Now, you might be thinking, okay, yesterday implied basically that Free was going to come out today. No, I was actually incorrect about that. I'm sorry about that. This actually comes out tomorrow, along with Shaman King. So, if it does happen tomorrow, I'll be happy to get a chance to review it. If not, well, save it Friday. Alright? Now, these two trades basically feature characters who are noteworthy, being very stealthy, and both been around for a good period of time. This first one has only been around since the early 1990s. Well, I have talked about this character before in his two previous books. Here's the first trade that collects issues from his new run, Ninjak. Written by Jeff Parker. And artwork by, well, let's see. The artist who does this is Yabe Puido and Benny Labedo. Now, the cover art, I should point out, though, this is done by Michael Walsh. Very good artist cover here. That's who does the back cover here. That's Michael Walsh artwork. The front cover is Yabe Puido and Jasper Wingard. Now, I should point out, though, the covers for this book are fantastic. I think this is the same artist who did the original Ninjak run. Yeah, the same cover artist. Now, I should point something about the interior artwork. My friend Edgar told me about this, and I do kind of agree. Now, I don't mind the paneling of this. It's okay. I have nothing against Howard, but this is basically kind of weird, though. Now, here's the thing. These issues, by the way, this trade collects the first 4 issues of Ninjak. This is actually the 4th volume for the series, so technically it's the 5th ongoing series for him. Because the original run was only published in the original Valiant era. The second run was published part of the Acclaim era. The third run, which was the 27-issue really good run by Matt Knott. And then there was the Ninja K run, which was really good. This book is the first one in a few years. Yes. Now, they do mention that the organization, the part of MI6 he was part of, has since been dissolved thanks to him being disavowed. Yeah, by the time this came out, it had been 2 years since the last Ninja book came out. What have he been doing since then? Bob Meyer books. That's mostly what this character had been doing. Yeah, mostly put for him, it just basically like, okay. He basically was on his own, no mission, just Ninjak basically was. He also does mention like he wants referred to as Ninja K, but he goes by Ninjak. He's a publicly known superhero in the Valiant universe. And here's the weird thing, though. After these first 4 issues came out, for some reason, Valiant's been doing this lately, where, like, as soon as a book completes a story arc, we have to put the book on hiatus for a few months, and then bring the book back for a story arc. For some reason, that's the current thing for Valiant right now. And this is the second book I've reviewed that is actually a recent release Valiant book. Yes, that is not like an older Valiant book. That was published years ago. Like it was with the original Ninjak run of the current Valiant era and Ninja K. This came out just last year. But for the start of this run, it's pretty good. It's kind of dumb, though. We have to wait a long period of time between issues 4 and 5 to finally get the next part of the story. It's just referred to as Ninjak Book One. There's no subtitle of this one, just Ninjak Book One. It's kind of weird, and it's really short. I'm going to give this book roughly a 9 out of 10. It's a bit fish out of water. It's like a spy story without the backing of a government agency. That's mostly the best way to describe this. And I don't mind it at all. It's perfectly fine. And the thing is, Colin King himself doesn't have his home anymore. Was destroyed toward the end of the original Ninjak series. And in the previous book, he got like disavowed thanks to he had been uncovering government secrets. Basically, he can still operate as Ninjak. It just he can't be associated with the British government anymore. That's mostly what the current thing is with him right now. All right, next up is Black Panther, the Epic Collection, Book 3, Panthers Prey. This collects a series of Black Panther solo stories released from 1989 to 1984. Now, this book has the Panthers Prey miniseries, which is 4 issues. Second time, by the way, they collect this book. Material from Marvel Comics Presents issues 13 and 37 and 48. Seoul Avengers 19. Marvel Superheroes. This is volume 2, number 1. Marvel Fan Fan number 60, the final issue of that original book, and the first issue of Fantastic Four Unlimited. Now, the first thing we have published in this book is the Marvel Comics presents Panthers Quest story arc, which is a 25-part story. Yes, 25 parts. Starts with issue 13, wraps up in issue 37. You might be thinking, 25 parts. Did this book take 2 years to tell? No, this took 1 full year to come out. Yes. From the period of late February 1989 to December 1989. Yeah, almost pretty much an entire year. Yeah, and then pretty much we have Seoul Avengers number 19, which is a backup story in that book because the main story in that book was, of course, Clint Barton, Hawkeye, and Marvel Superheroes number 1. This is basically, from what I could tell from the second volume of Marvel Superheroes, it was a series of it was released quarterly at the time it came out, and it only released 13 issues, of course, a few years. Yeah, that's basically that book. The first issue, we have the 4 issues of the Panthers Prey, which come the following year after Marvel Superheroes number 1. You have those 4 issues. You have the final issue of Marvel Fanfare 60. Marvel Fanfare, if you don't know what that is, that was basically, according to Peter Giles, he mentions to me that this was originally, now pretty much what this book was, it wasn't a regular ongoing series, oh yeah, we published this here, it was intended published. This book, these stories were not intended to be published. These were stories that sat in Marvel's drawers for over a decade, and they just want to put out a comic book to make money. So the Marvel Fanfare, the original book lasted for 60 issues. Not a bad issue the whole run. I'm thinking okay, why the heck would they shelve these books for? And then you had the 6th issue, second volume for the book. And now, in the case of What Happens, Panthers Quest, now these are your writers for this book. Mostly, but a lot of this stuff is by Don McGregor, with also writing them by Sandy Prudnick, Richard Bassam, Walt Simonson, the awesome Roy Thomas, Don Hamilton, who's also one of the artists of this book, along with Dave Duras. And of course, you have Rob Lem, the late Gene Colan, the late Dwayne Turner. I heard he has passed away. Sandy Prudnick, Dennis Cowan. I believe this is the artist who worked on The Question with Denny O'Neil, and Dave Hoover. The front cover here, that's Dennis Cowan and Walt Simonson. The back cover, that's Dwayne Turner. Yes. Now, the Panthers Quest, like I said, 25-part story, and it's really short. If you're curious to how long are the stories for Panthers Prey, for each one of these parts, they're roughly 10 pages apiece. No, seriously, they're about 10 pages. Because this was a book that basically came out twice a month, and it had 4 stories in it, and if you wanted with the other stories where you have books apparently you also have stuff with Colossus, and also the Fantastic Four. And that's pretty much how the series was throughout the entire period of time. Now, if you want to think of the character who had the longest feature in the book, it's Wolverine. He had the longest feature in the book. He took up a good chunk of the series. Now, Panther's Quest is simply Panther going on a quest for 25 issues. Yep, just wandering around the countryside of Africa. And with really good storytelling here. Dealing with racial stuff. And the thing is, this is all Gene Colan's artwork. Yep, all this artwork here is done by the late Gene Colan. And you're thinking, Gene Colan did this? Yep, he did. Yeah, let me give you a good example of this. Yeah, this is the late Gene Colan. I personally have never met Gene Colan, but when I can tell, the guy was a really good artist. It's weird, though, he would draw Black Panther. Especially since Gene Colan was known for being a horror artist. Now, Black Panther, you might be thinking, does it have any horror elements to him? Very minor at best, but the artwork here is really good. I gotta admit, he basically, does it fit the character Black Panther? No, not necessarily, but I think he does a good job what he's given here. If you are thinking, what books basically suit Gene Colan the best? Tomb of Dracula, Batman. Yes, Batman, because he's basically based in horror, because he deals with supernatural stuff. The Night Force series, the original one, which was really good. I do recommend it. It's about him and Mark Wolfman. Yep. And then pretty much after this feature wraps up at issue 37. But I love the fact they actually collect this whole thing. I think prior to this particular book coming out, the only thing that this entire book is put in the trade is the Panthers Prey miniseries, which I will get to that. Don't worry about that. Now, they only have the first cover in here. They do have the rest of the covers in the back of this book here. Yep. Now, at the Panthers Prey, now here's Solo Avengers, the book that Hawkeye pretty much was the starring character for the first 35 issues. Yep, first 35 issues, he was pretty much the main character. And then with issue number, 36, he basically was dropped from the book by somebody else. Also, here's a fun fact for you about this book. It may be called Soul Avengers. But 2 issues after this, they would change name to Avengers Spotlight. And this would remain the title of the book for pretty much the whole run. And is this issue 10 pages? Well, it feels a bit longer with this one, yes. Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yep, it's roughly 10 pages. And after this, we had... Actually, no, 11 pages, excuse me. And then we had the Marvel Series Spring Specials was the very first one released. And he did have featured this book. Of course he did. And this mostly just deals with him basically battling the White Gorilla. And then we have the Panthers Prey miniseries. Yeah, this is something that basically was the second miniseries Black Panther. And this book, if you read it, I'm not going to show much of the artwork per se, because this book has got nudity in it. You're thinking, nudity. And this is not an adult only imprint. Oh no. Plus also, and I love the fact that Dwayne Toyer did this, basically had a map of Wakanda in here. And you had a table of contents. Each issue is 50 pages long. It is really good, but it's long. I mean, if this was published as regular issue, this would have been an 8-issue limited series, not 4 issues. And very colorful and bright. And it's somewhat violent per se, but there's a good amount of nudity in here in this book. And this miniseries kind of ended a big story arc for Black Panther that been going on since the Margon Presents storyline. Yep. And then right after this miniseries wrapped up, by the way, a lot of the issues have these little text pages to talk about Panther's Spore. I'm surprised Marvel included that in here. Yeah. Now, oddly enough, unlike some books basically would change artists, this one never did. Nope, still kept the same creative team for all 4 issues, which gotta praise him for doing that. That doesn't happen all the time per se, but I at least gotta praise the fact that Dwayne Toyer basically sits up for this entire run. And then we have the final issue of Marvel Fanfare, which basically is also the cover for the trade itself. Yep, as in the cover, final issue of Marvel Fanfare. Maybe it got canceled sales, it's possible. But this is an entire issue. You might be thinking, who does the artwork for this issue? Who does the writing? This is not my Walt Simonson who does the artwork in here. He basically does the writing in here and the inking. Yeah, Walt Simonson writes this artwork is now by Dennis Cohen, who's really good here. I think his artwork fits well. And then you have Fantastic Four Unlimited. Now, like in the case of Spider-Man Unlimited, that's kind of what they did here. You might be thinking, was any Unlimited series published by Marvel aside from Spider-Man and Fantastic Four? There was X-Men. You might think it was Avengers Limited. No, never was. And pretty much this book was just a guest appearance by Black Panther. And it's done by Roy Thomas. Excellent choice on the part of Marvel. Yep. And just a tale of Black Panther. It's nice they threw this in here. I think some people suspect they probably would not throw it here. And then finally, to finish up, we have Black Panther 148. Well, not 48, it's Mark Humphrey's 148. And that's it. Yep. And then after this, there was a single solo story published Black Panther for 4 years. Until the very popular Christopher Priest run came out in 1998. The stuff in here is actually pretty good. I love this book. I give this book a 10 out of 10. It's really good. With this book in particular, there is 2 more books left to go of Black Panther. And once I get those 2 books, I'll pretty much be up to date with Black Panther stuff solo-wise. He become pretty much like the third character in Marvel to do this. The first character that did this with was Carol Danvers, obviously, because I've got all of her solo appearances done. But in the case of Black Panther, he's getting pretty close. Now, I've already got the Chris Priest stuff done, and I got pretty much everything from that point forward all done. With this book here, I can definitely say I got solo-wise Black Panther from 1989, the present done for him. And he is the first, and so far only character, I've actually reviewed as far back as the late 1980s. Well, mostly 1989. Yep. I have 2 more epic collections to go, and then that's pretty much it for Black Panther. He'll become by far the first character from Marvel to get as far back as the 70s review far back for it. Yep, the very first one. Well, you could say Carol Danvers is kind of like that too. Yes. But the thing is, she hasn't had many books as he has. And the original time at her Miss Marvel, when it was solo book-wise, it was collected in 2 epic collections. And, of course, 1 essential novel. Yep. So, yeah, that's going to be pretty much it for this particular review. I may have another video tonight, I'm not sure. So, expect to see it later. I'm not sure what video it could be, but it depends, okay? I mainly want to do this because I had this ready to go. So, there's that. So, now you might be thinking, okay, like, what could be possibly the topic for next Comic Corner? How about 2 sexy cat ladies? Yeah, talk about 2 trades in their respective books. One that's still going, the other has ended. I'll discuss those in next Comic Corner, okay? Next video. Bye.